Good morning, friends. Mr. Nagaraja Prakasham, Director, Indian Angel Network. Mr. VP Suhail, CEO, Nucor Software Solutions, Kozhikode. Mr. VC Vinod, MD, Sisame, Kozhikode. Mr. Ramakrishnan, Convener of GMI Entrepreneurship Subcommittee. Friends, Greater Malabar Initiative is an organization which was formed in December 2015. We have only one objective, and that objective is to become a catalyst for growth of this region. For some reason, we all know that the way South Kerala has developed, North Kerala has not developed. It is a fact which we all look at with certain amount of suspicion. But we also know for a fact that many of the businessmen, successful businessmen based in North Kerala, have their investments not in Kerala but in GCC countries, especially in Middle East countries. We have nobody else to blame but ourselves for this problem that we are into. And GMI, when we formed this organization, we had this desire, dream to be a catalyst to make a difference, to bring some development to this region. And we have different subcommittees focused on small domains. And this particular subcommittee, which Mr. Ramakrishnan is heading, we have only one objective, and that objective is to promote entrepreneurship in this region. And when you talk about entrepreneurship, there are two ways of looking at it. One is trying to handhold and help the NRI community to relocate to this region. That is one side. But again, when we look at it further, we know for a fact that most of the traditional forms of business that people of this region are into, which is mostly trading. Trading is today going through a phase of severe competition and margin erosion, which means most of the people who are into trading are finding it difficult. They are facing competition from retail chains. They are facing competition from online portals, all that. And again, almost all the conventional forms of business which people of Malabar were into and which they were fairly successful at are today facing competition. And that is where startups come in. That is where we are also trying as a group, as an organization, to make a difference. We have a dream, and that dream, startup ecosystem is developed in Bangalore. We see startup ecosystem fairly well developed in Cochin. And we have this dream, and that dream is to achieve what Cochin has achieved in 5 years in half the time, which means we should achieve what Cochin has achieved in 5 years in 2.5 years time. And we are working towards that. That is one side of what GMI does, what this subcommittee, which is headed by Mr. Ramakrishnan, and our team members are all here. This is what we have done in that. Saying that, we have also other subcommittees which are focused on other areas. One subcommittee which is active and which is vibrant, which is going forward aggressively, is a subcommittee on tourism. Very soon we are going to organize a series of training programs, basically to help make homestay owners. In fact, we all know for a fact that most of the NRIs, major chunk of their investment, their savings, they have invested in building palatial houses. And many of these houses rooms are lying vacant because most of the youngsters are employed outside or studying outside. So which means 2 rooms, 3 rooms are lying vacant, not being used in these palatial houses. These rooms can actually become homestays. This can promote tourism in this region. So next thing which we are going to do very soon is to organize a series of training programs to handhold and help prospective house owners to become entrepreneurs in the field of homestays or tourism. And we are also going to promote farm stays also, homestays and farm stays also. And again, various avenues we have planned in the field of tourism. Like that, we have different subcommittees focused on each domain, working specifically for producing result in that particular domain. Today, unfortunately, we have faced a situation is that a bandh has come in the last minute. And when we have somebody like Nagaraja Prakasham traveling, in fact, he is a person who is highly respected and very highly sought after. And such a person, he had graciously agreed to come yesterday itself. In fact, today morning he didn't want to come to a situation where the train is getting, because his train was to reach here at 7:30. For some reason, if the train got delayed, he wouldn't be able to come here on time. So he didn't want to take that risk, so he came yesterday itself. And when such a person, after traveling so much, spending his time and money and efforts and all that, when he has come here, last minute cancelling an event was not an option for us. It would look very bad on us, people of this region, for somebody like him coming here and not having the program and wasting his time. So I didn't want that to happen. Then all of a sudden, our group, we started thinking what we should do. Then this thought process came that we'll record all these talks which are happening today in high definition and upload in YouTube, so that anybody who's not able to come today for some reason, because of hartal, because of bandh, whatever, transportation problem, whatever, they'll still be able to acquire whatever knowledge they wanted to acquire if they were able to attend the program. So that is what we are trying to do today. That is the reason why we have set up a video recording here. All these talks, in fact, those who have come here, if you want to suggest to or communicate to somebody that you should hear this, you have still the option of listening to all these talks which are going to be recorded and which are going to be uploaded in YouTube. So with that, I come to my duty on behalf of Greater Malabar Initiative, on behalf of the Entrepreneurship Subcommittee. It is my proud privilege to welcome Mr. Nagaraja Prakasham, Director of Indian Angel Network and partner of Acumen Solutions. Welcome, sir. Let me also welcome, in fact, one of the agenda for the day is the first part of the day we were trying to highlight success stories of Calicut. In fact, we wanted to communicate to the investing community that entrepreneurship and startups are not alien, not something which is happening only in Bangalore and Cochin. It has already started happening in Calicut itself, and we wanted to project a few people who have got over these difficulties and come out successfully. And one such person is Mr. VP Suhail. On behalf of Greater Malabar Initiative and the subcommittee, I welcome you. Next is again another person who I've seen him for years. I still remember seeing him as a very ordinary, down-to-earth, small entrepreneur, and today he is a big name to reckon. And Mr. VC Vinod, MD of Sisame Solutions, I welcome you to this program. He is a native of Calicut. He grew up in Calicut. Nothing came from any other place. He has built up his business to something which is to be reckoned with, and welcome. Let me also welcome first the convener for our subcommittee and all the participants who have come, you have spending your time, valuable time to attend this program. So welcome each and everyone. Thank you.
Dignitaries on the dais, on and off the dais. friends. Okay, we are talking about the entrepreneurship and investing support to the entrepreneurs. Now, the entrepreneurship of Calicut can be traced back to the 14th century, because Calicut has been doing spice business. Calicut has been doing very good in that, and it was well known for its well hospitable kind of business done with foreigners here. So we can very well trace it back. And now that after Trivandrum and Cochin, Calicut is looked after as the largest, or having the best possibilities and very potential place for entrepreneurship. That is how that the entrepreneurship is growing in Calicut, which perhaps you would have seen very recently that the Cyber Park was inaugurated here. And the Cyber Park was inaugurated with 5 homegrown companies, all 5 from Calicut. So when it was inaugurated, it was all 5 homegrown companies to start with. So that all shows that the potential of Calicut. Now, when we look into startup, like what we're talking about, every startup is a new beginning of a company or new beginning of a business. Only that the entrepreneur has to be passionate, not that he should be passionate. So when the investor is coming, he will be looking into whether he is passionate or fascinate, because that's very important for that. The entrepreneurship growth very well depends on the kind of passion that the person has for his success. So only problem what we see here is we don't find women participation in entrepreneurship. So I think we will definitely encourage women to come into entrepreneurship, and every forums that are working from Calicut are always interested in promoting women as an entrepreneur. Now to talk about what GMI is doing, I think I don't have to repeat what my colleague has already talked about here. So the entrepreneurship subcommittee here will always be supporting them. This program is a prelude to a major program that's going to happen very soon, a kind of investor and innovator conclave. So here in this program today, we are expecting people to understand what is a startup, how you should choose into investing there. Investing in startup is not like investing in any other trading business or real estate, because it should be invested very wisely. So you should be able to understand how you should choose to invest. Now that in this program today, we have 2 very successful business people who have gone through all their hardships, and today they are very successful. As Mr. Roshan said, Mr. Vinod and Mr. Suhail, they will be explaining to you how they came up, how they are successful today, and how a business can make successful. And it all shows that Calicut is entrepreneurship driven, and Calicut can. So with this, I would like to mainly insist, or mainly choose to put more pressure on that Calicut is able to do it today, and we have already grown. We can do that. So with this, I'm completing my words and inviting Preeti to introduce Mr. Nagaraja. Thank you.
A very good morning to all of you. We are in fact very fortunate to have a versatile investor, Mr. Nagaraja Prakasham, as our chief guest today. He is, as Roshan and MTR told, he is the director of Indian Angel Network and is a part of many other investor groups like in Native Angel Network, etc., which is mostly concentrating on the cities apart from metro. The most striking aspect of Naga well known as Naga, instead of Nagaraja Prakasham, his full name. He is his social commitment. He always encourages young entrepreneurs to find the solutions to the social problems, as you can see from his motto, that is people, problems and technology, that is PPT. He is a mentor to many leading incubation and entrepreneurship learning centers like CII, IIM Ahmedabad, NS Raghavan Center for Entrepreneurship and Entrepreneurship Learning of IIM Bangalore, Vellore Institute of Technology, TBI, etc. Srinaga has made investments in 20 plus startups and has seen 4 successful exits. He is an excellent speaker too and have been giving inspiring talk in many prestigious conferences. Now let's hear from him and get us motivated ourselves. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much. Thanks to all the people who braved whatever happening outside. So, you have to applaud for all of you. So it's very interesting to see that, you don't care. So that's what entrepreneurship is, right? So we don't bother about what's happening elsewhere. We're just focused on what we set out to do. So I'm going to talk about two aspects, right? One is about in generally what's happening in the startup ecosystem in India, for you to get a feel of it beyond what the media tells you, right? So the media is always good in putting a sensational information. So the other part is about this initiative, similar like GMI. I'm very glad to see all this thought process. I spent almost a day with Roshan on what is all happening. So it's very interesting. So we have something similar going on in my native place. We have done like 3 years back. I'll give you some of the learnings and what it is aspiring to do and where we are heading. Very proud of what's happening in Madurai on that aspect as well. So the first is about, I categorize the Indian startups today as 3 categories, right? So this first one is about what I call as a copycats. There's people who look at what is happening in elsewhere, maybe Silicon Valley most of the time, that what kind of technology developed, who is getting funded what, and how big is that company has got into, right? Because we have a tendency to look at West for all the solutions, which we were brainwashed for many years to do so. So if you look at in that aspect, right, e-commerce, it is happening in 2000. So Amazon was started in 2000 as a .com company in the US. So it took 15 years, because 2015 is the time the e-commerce got really popular. So it took us 15 years for us to copy Amazon. Yeah. So still we're not good at it. Yeah. So we want now government help and all that. So what was the reason this 2015 it opened up? Any ideas? So why e-commerce got popular in 2015, a little earlier than that? So, mobile, yeah, so that is one, okay. But the internet was there, India Plaza and all those companies started 15 years back. So there was this cash on delivery, right? So we are a trust deficit community. We don't trust anybody. So when you have it online, when you say that you buy things online, people are not trusting. Who's this guy who will take a lot of money and the TV never get delivered? He run away, right? So people are not comfortable with this model. So that's when an entrepreneur launched this thing called cash on delivery. He says, don't worry, you see a product, if you're happy, pay me. Yeah. This is not new to the country, right? COD has been around in the country for many hundreds of years. India Post has it. Do you know what that is? Yeah, VPP. Yeah. So in good old days, you'll see a small advertisement newspaper. You buy this product in VPP. So you see the product and pay the post for it. So it took an entrepreneur to copy Amazon and copy India Post. Then this industry took off. But for that process to happen, it took 15 years. So what is the story in this is that blindly copying technology that's working elsewhere is not going to work for India. So you have to understand the psychology of people. So when technology meets a psychology, then you have a success, right? So this is what happened, but for us, that to happen, a lot of money has been wasted. A lot of companies were shut down, but finally that industry is there. But another phenomenon happened in the 2015 or mid or early of it is what I call as an Alibaba syndrome, right? Have you heard Alibaba? Yeah. So this company in China, it's in the similar space of e-commerce, and the investors who invested in this company made $23 billion profit. That's a 23B. So it's tremendous amount of profit to a company named SoftBank based in Japan, right? So that is when people thought if a China-based company could make this much for an investor, who's next to China? India, right? So there is a lot of expectation that, okay, so there is India is the line. So a lot of money came in. It's a great story for India, right? They put us in the map. India become the number 2 spot in startups in the world, and a lot of money came in, and a lot of entrepreneurs started companies, which are good news because earlier people are looking at comfortable, right? Settling in life, which means that find a job, but more and more entrepreneurs are came into the ecosystem, trying to solve problems, which are all good news, right? But all these companies who could spell the word e-commerce got funded. You'll see in the newspaper that so many got this much money and all that thing happened, yeah? But did the result occur? Did we get an Alibaba? So we did not, right? So we did not get that Alibaba success in India yet, right? So what is the reason? That's what we were talking about yesterday as well, that if you look at, let's try to understand what India is, yeah? So then we can see where we stand against China or US, where we head. Because there is blindly people are following that we are China or we are going to be China. But what is our GDP? Yeah, we talked about yesterday as well that, do you know what's our GDP, India GDP is? India GDP is $2.6 trillion, yeah? So what is China's? China is 11.1 or 7, something like that, right? So China is 5 times bigger than us. So at this current growth rate, right, between Modi and RBI, they're trying to figure out what our rate is. But whatever the highest number is you pick, it is going to take 40 years for us to catch China at this current growth rate. So it's a lot of time. We're not China yet. So if I ask this question, many of these conferences, many entrepreneurs have no idea what Indian GDP is. But they are very good about Steve Jobs' history, right? Or what Mark Zuckerberg ate for money. So that's a problem, right? If you don't know who we are, where do we go? So it is very important to peel the onions to look at who we are. Then it will help you to understand, okay, from here where we go. But if you falsely assume that we are arrived, when you start building something, it's not going to work. That's why many of these digital consumer, what we call, means that people who could buy online, many of these businesses, what had been expected out of them, what it provided, it did not match. Because every entrepreneur, if I meet in Bangalore, if I ask them, how many smartphones in Bangalore, the answer is everybody, right? That's what we're missing out. So we are assuming things which are not correct. So Bangalore has 11 million people, 2 million in the slums, right? Only 50% of Bangalore has internet access. So that's the reality. But we don't see them at all because when you see this problem every day, you are indifferent, right? There's Koramangala in Bangalore, which is startup capital. But behind Koramangala, there is an Ejipura. That's a slum, right? People live on the street. You see that around 1 o'clock, if you drive by, they'll be sleeping on the roads. So this is the same Bangalore, which is the startup capital of India or second in the world. But you don't pay attention to them. But unfortunately, they are the majority of India, right? Is India, I asked the question about, is India a developing country or developed or underdeveloped country? Any ideas? Developing, right? So we are all the above, right? Because this side, there's somebody living in $1 billion house, yeah? So this side, there's somebody living in a 10 by 10. Their family and their children and their cow lives, right? Because that's their livelihood. You cannot put the cow outside for mosquito problems. But in the middle, there is a confused middle class, trying to figure out, hey, where do I fit in, right? So this is where the thing, so all the people who develop the digital consumer products, they were targeting the 250 million who had internet access. That's all. So out of the 1.3 billion in India, around 250 to 350 million have internet access. There is a Jio coming in. Let's see how the penetration is going to be. But I've traveled many villages. Jio is not working there at all. Yeah. So it will take time. So even if I live in Bangalore, I got not even 3G, 4G, 3G. So every day I get 10 minutes 3G. This is in Bangalore. Right? That's the reality of what our internet penetration is. So how do you going to build a business around that? So that needs to be looked at. So this is where this 250 million is what targeted for this digital consumer, but that looked like an US population. So US population is 270 million. It's really fantastic news, right? But let's look at US GDP, it's $20 trillion, right? 10 times bigger than us. So per capita income in India means that you divide your GDP by number of people, you'll find how many person each one is making money, right? India's per capita income is $1,800. That means if you make more than 1.5 lakhs a year in India, you are rich, right? Is it good or bad? It's really bad, pathetic, right? We are a low income country. China, it is around $8,000. So per capita income of China is $8,000, right? So we're not China. So it's going to take time, but we can work towards. 20 years back, we were around $800, right? We tripled in 20 years. So that is the capability. We could accelerate, we could move fast, but this current rate is not going to be sufficient. Even current rate, it will take 40 years to catch China. So that is where entrepreneurship comes in, where you will be able to solve problem, bring in efficiency in different areas. But just merely copying elsewhere something else working may not solve our problem. The second area which is today popular is the IoT. We talked about yesterday. So I also usually joke to people who come to my office and then say that use your app, and if somebody knocks your door, you press a button, it will open your door. I said, awesome, yeah, fantastic. I opened the door, the power went off. So what will I do, right? So my door is open, there's no power, there's somebody could rob my house. So because no system will work when there's no power. So this is India. So just merely copying an IoT, which is very popular in US, into India may not work. But can you address this power issue as well? 400 million people in India do not have electricity. That's reality. So where your IoT is going to work, right? 350 million don't have even food to eat. So where is your app? So this way, this digital consumer-based solutions is a problem. If you look at, in Bangalore, when I talk, people will say 400 million don't have electricity. Okay, we'll create an app for it. Find out who all don't have it. So these people think that app will solve the world's problem, right? It's technology is an enabler, right? Not the end of it. So that's an identity, that's the knowledge that we need to get, because in places like this, when we talk about, right, I see entrepreneurs copying Bangalore, because Bangalore copies from US, this Madurai and Kozhikode, Trivandrum, Cochin copies from Bangalore. So you're diluting already. If you're copying, just directly copy from US, or I'll give you a second category of startups where the potential is tremendous, right? So the third area where in the current is about share economy, right? So there is a big impetus on US about sharing everything. Everybody blames the Western world about consuming too much, right? They have like many vehicles, they have like electricity is more, big houses. So the whole world is blaming them about contributing to the climate change, consuming too much resources. So now they have attained a level that, okay, I'm going to share now. So that's where the share economy is very, very popular, right? But if you look at in Bangalore, US, there are 700 cars per 1,000 people. Yeah. So in India, can you guess how many cars we have per 1,000 people? In US, it's around 700 cars per 1,000. We have 11 cars per 1,000 people. This is India, right? This is the reality of it. But now we talk about traffic problem. There are 1 million cars in Bangalore for 11 million people. So when they become US, 7 million cars end up in Bangalore, you look at where it's going to end. There's no place to put the car, right? I used to live in Atlanta. They had 14 lanes at one place. Still traffic problem. 14 lanes. In Bangalore, we have these 2 lanes we put out. We're all happy. The nice road is fantastic. Yeah, solve the problems. It's going to fill up overnight, right? So 2008, Manmohan Singh laid the foundation for a metro. He said it will bring down the traffic by 30%. 2008, right? Now 17. So we are just opening up 42 kilometers of metro. We will see what impact that's going to make, right? You will see. If you visited Bangalore, you know what I'm talking about. So these are all require a complete radical thinking in our entrepreneurial mind, right? Because we have 20 years, next 20 years to build India the way we want it. If we do not look at the Western technology or whatever available, tropicalized to Indian climates, then we will build a model which the entire world can look at. But otherwise we will blindly copy US and we will face the same problem that they have. Where is the place for 14 lanes in Kozhikode? Yeah? So already the road widening, they say that people are going to come and go to the courts. But we will never put a 14 lane in Kozhikode. Yeah? So, but we are heading towards that because urbanization is happening very fast. People are moving into the urban centers, which would require more resources. So this is where the problems are there, which means that you have a fantastic opportunity. So the second category of startups, what I talk about, that's where this amazing potential, what Prithvi mentioned about, what I call is about playing on India's strength. Yeah. So what is our strength? Any guess? What India's strength? Population, young population, right? Population is strength. So thanks to a person from Coimbatore, right? His name is C.K. Prahalad, you might have heard. So the C stands for Coimbatore. So he changed the complete world that the population is a good thing. He wrote a book called Fortune at the Bottom of the Economic Pyramid. So he said, okay, you have people, there is a good thing for you. So now we stop the triangles which you used to see earlier, right? So now the population is a good thing. Even in there, what good thing is that more than 50% of the country is youth, right? I'm all minority. So that's a strength that we have, the younger population, which has more productive years ahead. But where are we, how are we spending that energy towards is God going to decide where are we heading from here. So in the second category, that's what I said, India's strength is now tremendous number of problems that we have, right? From morning till night, all the issues that we talk about, right? Every complaint on energy or your pollution or traffic, even what's happening today, all these problems, right? Each one is a business plan for you to take a look at. So then, not your personal relationship, right? That's a different problem. That's a different business altogether. There are a lot of ashrams that for that. That's also good business. They're all billionaires now. So this is where my theory is that if you pick a problem in India, that you bring technology. Technology doesn't mean the Bangalore definition of technology, right? If you're studying civil engineering, apply civil. Apply whatever you're studying, chemistry, whatever, and then find a compelling solution. If every Indian paid you $1, you got $1 billion company, right? So that's as simple as that, because we have those many problems around. But for those problems to be understood, you have to look around, right? We stopped looking around. We are sitting in front of the computer for solutions. The search engine does not tell India's problem. The search engine is stupid. It'll tell you what somebody put in. But there are 400 million people don't have electricity. Where they're going to put their data, right? You're not going to put it from the search engine. So the search engine also works on the popularity, right? The algorithm works on popularity, not on reality, right? So during the budget time, this is one of the newspaper asked me to write an article. So I was watching Doordarshan. So I don't watch TV and newspaper, right? Last 2 years. So I went to the Doordarshan online and watching his presentation. So once I'm done, I want a manuscript. I just want his manuscript to probably capture some data. So if I go to the search engine and I search like budget, what you see is all maybe NDTV and all these guys, right? Third page is finance ministry. So where the transcript is there in an unadulterated form, as is what Jaitley told you. But all the other guys talk about what they observe from the budget. So NDTV talks about his area, right? Some other TV talks about that area. But there are a lot mentioned in agriculture, none of these guys mention at all. So if you're watching this popular media, you will miss out this element, right? But Arun Jaitley is not sitting and doing a search engine optimization, right? For it to show up in the first. He's in the third page. So that's the reality of search engines, right? It doesn't give you actual data. It will give you a data who's popular. So today the popularity is very easy, right? We are in a lazy world that look at all your WhatsApp forwards happening, right? So all these likes happening. I have a tea in this place, there is 1,000 likes for that. That place is popular, right? So now we do ego surfing and say how many likes I got. And people lose relationship because you didn't like my post. So this is the level is happening. These are all popularity things, like nothing on reality of it, right? But who is losing? You are losing out. If you rely on search engine to tell you India's problem, it won't tell you. So this is where the opportunities come. You search on Ayurveda, right? You are Ayurveda country, but you search on Ayurveda, you'll be surprised what data you get. There are 2-3 blogs written by some US guy, but the experts are there, right? 70 or 80 years, some Nambudiri sitting there. He is not going to put it in a blog and writing, okay, that's what I'm doing, for you to pick it up. You got to go behind him to find out this rich experience, right? In Bangalore, there is an organization called FRLHT that works on revitalization of traditional herbals. They've documented the entire Ayurveda herbals mentioned in all the scripts, in the entire Ayush. If you put Brahmi, there is a 42 names for Brahmi, right? It's all digitized. They've digitized the palm leaf. They've put the data in, but it doesn't show up in search engine. You go to the FRLHT and go to the open up the database, it's amazing. They preserve the germplasm of every herbal that you have. So tomorrow if anything happens to anything, you can go to FRLHT, get a germplasm, you can start growing the herbal. But you won't find that in the search engine, right? There's an NGO working very quietly and doing all this stuff. But people in Ayurveda space know what FRLHT is. So this my point is about looking problems, we have to look around. We have to search for the solution. We got to go meet people. At IIM we tell people, the students, get out of the building, right? Get out of the building, get out of your phone, go talk to the real people who have a problem, your potential customers. So I'll give you some examples of entrepreneurs who looked at these problems completely differently. How are they solving it, right? Unifor is one of my investment. He does speech recognition, right? He looked at the problem that India has 1.2 billion, 250 million do not speak English. Only 250 million speak English, 1 billion do not speak English. So that means they are left out in the digital revolution, right? Unless you put it in a vernacular information. So that's the problem that they wanted to solve many years back, like 6, 7, 10 years back. So they went to IIT Chennai, told this problem to the professor, and they found a speech recognition technology which can recognize 14 Indian languages and 100 dialects, because each region has a different accent as well, right? So we have a lot of dialects. India has around 1400 dialects. So they took at this 14 languages, right? They are at around 98% accuracy rate. But he was rejected by 25 investors because people said, okay, it's all great, but it's not going to scale. But that entrepreneur never gave up. So this point is about, if you believe in your vision, if it's not a copy from somewhere else, we strongly believe in your vision, just go at it until you figure it out, right? Do not change that because somebody else telling you that's not a good idea, right? So that's what I liked about Umesh, that he was head on with the problem he's working on, because the problem is real. Nobody can deny the fact that 1 billion don't speak English in India. Somebody has to find a solution, that he was trying to find a solution. His time will come, right? So we've invested in the company 3 years back. Now today he's doing pretty fantastic, right? Last year Time magazine, this popular magazine in the US, it picked up 12 people, 12 millionaires who are changing the world. There's only one person from India, that is Umesh. So they put him on the page saying that he brought a billion people into digital revolution. So he's been recognized by Time magazine out of 12 people all over the world, right? The same guy was rejected by 25 investors year back. But what I liked in him is that vision, right? He had the vision, he never gave up. He was head down, working on it. Today he is reaping the rewards. He's doing really fantastic. So this is an opportunity, right? But it takes time. It's not glamorous. It's day one, you're not going to be in the media and all that. But hardcore entrepreneurs do not care. They just focus on what they're doing the best, right? So another example, Sahas. It's a waste management. So everywhere you see garbage, right? It's a big problem. So we all talk about garbage or we'll blame it on the government. But Wilma, right? So she was working for a newspaper. She was interviewing a foreigner. And that lady asked her that why your city is so filthy. So she never realized that my city is filthy, because you see that every day. So when you see that something every day, it's get into your system, you'll become numb. So we lose our sensitivity, that it's no longer appear as a problem. So when they pointed out, she felt really ashamed. She quit the job. She started analyzing why this city is filthy. So Bangalore government is spending 600 crores every year for managing garbage, but still problem, right? So there's one option could be is go fight with the government, do a hartal or whatever, right? Or as an entrepreneur, what I could do, because entrepreneur would never blame anybody. She will jump in and start solving the problem herself. So she analyzed the data, like out of 5,000 tons the Bangalore produce every day, around 1,400 tons by the bulk generators, means organizations, institutions, offices. She went there and said, I will make you zero waste campus, right? If you look at a Western model, it's about grab all the waste in one place and put a laser technology and burn it. But she said that's not an efficient way of managing it, right? She want to make zero waste campus, means I'll come to your campus, no waste leave your campus. right? Only the good stuff will leave the campus, right? Because now today what you do, you collect all your waste and put it in your doorstep. Then it's government job to come and pick it up. But if you reduce number of what you're putting on the doorstep, then the job of government reduces. So like IIM, for example, like they produce around 900 kgs every day. So Sahas makes IIM Bangalore as a zero waste campus. So all the wet waste get composted in the campus for the plants. No wet waste leaves the campus. Dry waste get recycled. So this bottle, she collects and recycles. She gives credit to one of the major bottle manufacturers. Where every manufacturer has an extended producer responsibility. Means that if I'm manufacturing this bottle, it is my responsibility it doesn't get into the garbage. So I have to recall it, but nobody follows that. She goes and tells them, I will help you to abide by this law. So they're happy, right? Today she ships like 250 ton of Tetra Pak, your juice packets, back to Tetra Pak. Tetra Pak now is fulfilling its extended producer responsibility, right? So this is how, what the problem, like a garbage, like junk, stinking garbage, but how an entrepreneur is looking at the problem, right? Getting recycled. So that only around 10%, which is nothing can be done, like your bulbs, that nothing can be done, you crush and put it on the landfill. But even your sanitary napkin, diapers, all of them get into cement factory. So she's able to achieve around 90% of complete recycle. So earlier, IM would put 1 ton of waste on the doorstep for government to pick it up. It's what is going there, it's only the 10% of it. So look at how this problem. So she's one of my best investment because look at, there are 5,000 tons she could manage. The largest apartment complex in Bangalore called Shantiniketan, they make 1 ton of waste every day. So each person pays her 2 rupee a day to manage their garbage. So now they are a zero waste campus. So like that she has 43 customers. She's managing 30 tons every day in Bangalore, making sure that that doesn't get in the landfill. So this company in US called WM Inc., it does waste management. It is a $15 billion company. It's a Fortune 500. But you don't see that written about. When I invest in this company, the media asked about why would you invest in this garbage? I said, yeah, there is a potential $15 billion business. They have no idea because it's not in digital media. Nobody's tweeting about it, right? So, which is a good news. I don't have any competition, zero competition. She's head down working on it. She tripled the revenue last 1 year, just managing garbage. So what she does, she removes the rag pickers from the streets, make them recycle gurus in the campuses. So another upliftment of the poor, right? Not, if you see this poor, they're digging out the garbage, pick for some valuables. So why are you doing that kind of job? You come in she has employed 200 of them now, working for her in these campuses, helping her to segregate this waste so that you can recycle. So this is where that business are all about, right? All these businesses, what we call it is about social business. So in a typical business, you measure the business on, most of the time it is on one number, right? It's a bottom line. So every business has a top line and a bottom line. Top line is your revenue, bottom line is your profit or loss. Yeah. So we call this a profit is a major element. We try to measure this company. So one bottom line. So now we call it the 3 bottom line companies. So what is the next bottom line? What impact I'm making to people. The 3rd bottom line, what impact I'm making to the planet, right? So these examples, what I'm calling, these are all triple bottom line companies, right? So the triple bottom line companies are maybe should be the future because what is happening now, I have another investment called Solaron. This company manages around 1,000 stocks listed in London Stock Exchange and New York Stock Exchange on something called ESG, means environment, social and governance. If this huge $1 billion company, what are they doing to the environment, right? How socially responsible they are and how good in governance. He has his own index. So this mutual fund managers, when they buy a stock, they're looking for beyond a ticker symbol. Today, if you go to a ticker symbol, it tells you the quarterly results. It does not tell you about how much impact they made on planet or people, right? Because it's all about numbers. So that's where he comes in. He provides this data. He has around 7,000 reporters around the world, freelance, feeding this data for him. So he provides a number for each company that listed in the stock market. This guy is sitting in a small house in Koramangala. He's rated number 7 in the world on ESG rating. So number 1 is Morgan Stanley, right? Below him is Reuters. Below him is Bloomberg. So So that is the level of what an entrepreneur could do. So a report he could put, Solaron could bring down $1 billion company down. So that means that whether you're small or big, you have to start looking at the triple bottom line. So this is what we are doing in this social business. So right now I'm kind of lobbying with the government to make this in the company law itself. So that any startup starts tomorrow, it has to be a triple bottom line company, right? You don't want to become $1 billion company and then have Solaron watch you. What are you doing? Can we do it from the day one? Like Sahas, like Unifor. So these entrepreneurs looking at problem which has a tremendous impact in people's life, right? So this is Gokoa, right? Kannur, textile capital of Kerala, right? But if you look at there, it is dying industry. People are leaving those, those 100, 500, 1,000-year-old tradition is going away because they're not getting a proper value. So they leave that profession and end up in some other unskilled labor or end up in slums in some cities, right? So every day there are 2,000 people leave agriculture. So next to agriculture, the highest employment is in textiles. It has a similar problem like agriculture. The contribution to the GDP is not that high. There are 8 million weavers in the country. They're all every day they're losing their profession. They end up in some unskilled labor. But some of these weaving techniques are amazing. Like this ikat in Orissa. So the weaver has to dye the thread on the design he wants. So he has to dye the thread with the design he wants, and then he weaves he will get the design back. So look at the skills that you require to make that kind of thing, right? So that's what Shiva is doing. This company called Gokoa. We said that let's look at this handlooms in this tradition, treasures of India, which is dying away. Can we bring it back? So what he does, we call this as now green products, because there's no power utilized to make this fabric, right? And some of them are natural dyes, some of them are organic cotton. So we position in the US market as a green product. So when you buy these, green product, like as I said, the Western world is guilty about consuming too much. So they love the green products, so which is less impact on planet. So we were looking at probably starting a khadi line with the Levi's. So the idea was that if I tell you to wear probably dhoti and this from Kunduru, right, from Andhra Pradesh. So people are not going to listen to it. But you go to Chennai, 42 degrees outside. You will see people wearing a woolen suit and put the AC on 17 degrees, right? Because Rajinikanth wearing coat suit in Kabali, yeah. So if I tell you, go and wear this handloom, which is good for your weather, because amazing tropical climate outside, you will wear a breathable fabric, nobody's going to listen. That's why we're starting with US. So when Bruce Willis will start wearing, Levi's khadi, Shah Rukh Khan would copy, probably Mohanlal and Mammootty would copy, right? Then our youngsters would copy. Otherwise, if I tell them now, they're happy with jeans, right? Jeans is meant for miners in there. It's good for Alaska climate, not for Chennai climate, Kerala climate. So we've lost about what is good, what we're wearing, right? So this is what we're questioning. This indigo, it's a natural dye that's available, blue color, right? So it looks like a denim. We are shipping around thousands of meters of this fabric to Australia. So the youth in Australia is wearing a handloom. Indigo handloom, it matches their jeans. So this is how we are taking that industry which is almost dead, positioning as a green product. Then the other problem is that if you go to any of your big silks shops are all there, right? If you go there, if you ask for a Banaras silk, you have no idea whether the silk is, the saree is made in Banaras or China, right? Because as a customer, all we want is a cheap price. So as a trader, he's going to find whoever is giving it cheap. So there's a Banaras looking saree, but not made in Banaras. So this is what technology, Shiva is bringing technology into this, that every fabric will have a QR code. He'll tell you where it's made. He'll even give you a picture of the weaver who did it. So you cannot cheat that it's a China product, and you can cheat that it's a Banaras saree. You can take your phone and scan it, and he'll tell you it is made in Banaras. It is made in Pochampally, it's made in Kannur. Kannur makes a wonderful linen handlooms, 100% exported, right? So I was in Kannur, many didn't know. So I took all the startups, when we went for a startup event, I took all the startups, and first stop was, I showed them that look at what's happening in your own place. They have no idea. That's the point, right? We don't look around. We are sitting in the front of search engine, find out what is happening with Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg. But there's no pride in what's happening in our neighborhood. So this is where we've started an initiative in Madurai. If you look at this, all these entrepreneurs what I'm talking about, these guys can come to Bangalore, put a nice swanky presentation and nice English, then they get convinced the entrepreneurs, the investors, we will invest. But if you look at, I'm from Madurai, right? So these guys may be technically good, but they cannot speak a word of English. So they cannot go to Chennai and Bangalore, do a pitch. So that's the reason, like BMI, we've done around 3 years back, we launched an initiative called Native Lead Foundation. So the idea was that, when I met some of the HNIs there, I said, a skilled labor like me run away from Madurai. Unskilled labor run away from Madurai. There are many villages near Madurai is empty. So I went to one village, that one NGO took me there. This whole village is empty, all migrated. So only one person was living. I said, why you didn't leave? He said, I'm the postman of the village. It's a government job. He didn't leave. So he got a regular income. So that's the reality. So we said, if you just continue, our village is going to be empty. All these people are end up living in slums in the Chennai, right? Not doing a great job, right? So that's second problem, right? In the last 100 years, only one company went IPO, big company is TVS. There is no other company, big company came out of Madurai. Last 100 years. So I said, this is really pathetic. That means that employment is going down. So this is what, I was really impressed that Madurai we started off, there are 50 HNIs from Madurai said we will start supporting. So we have 4-prong approach. We call it the enable, nurture, incubate and invest. So we picked up, we said non-Chennai because Chennai is taken care, right? So we said non-Chennai, look at 18 districts below Madurai. We went to 36 colleges. We did a 1-year program. We started telling the students, entrepreneurship could be another career for you. So if in Madurai, if we talk to any of the student, entrepreneurship means take a 1 lakh loan in a bank and start a lathe and make one valve for TVS. That's it. So can they start thinking big, right? Can you look at, I will be the next TVS from Madurai, why not? So we'll give them that confidence, right? So once there are interested students, we'll work with them, right? We nurture them. Then incubate, every college has a place, we will give them a space. Then the invest part, that's where the beauty came in, is that we said we have to walk the talk. Because many organizations will do the gyan, right? Oh, they have to do this and all. Then if somebody has some idea, he's lost. So that's what we said, we have to invest, make sure that we put a skin in the game. So when you become an investor, the interest level increases. It is no longer a gyan, oh, this Kozhikode nothing will happen, Madurai nothing will happen, right? But you found a person you invested. So our first investments were Rainstock. So this is a 3rd-year student in a college who are attending our program. He said, okay, good, I want to become an entrepreneur. He has no clue what he wants. Then after more discussion, he said, okay, I'll solve Madurai's water problem. He started the company Rainstock to look on rainwater harvesting, grey water recycling in a natural way, right? So the first order came from our own investor. He said, do it in my college. So now when you're an investor, the interest is increasing, right? That's what it's called angel investing. It's not a money lending that I write a check, I forget about it. This angel investing means that I will do whatever it requires for that person to be successful. This guy, a 3rd-year college student, had 0 experience on rainwater harvesting, but we gave him 10 lakhs, right? His father came and fought with us. He said, I took a loan, put this guy so that he'll go to a job and pay the loan back. You are spoiling my son. And we said, we're believing your son giving 10 lakhs. He couldn't believe, he started crying. You're giving 10 lakhs to my son. So he went happy, so fine, no problem. So this is where, what you can do, right? With this 10 lakhs, he started this company. The first order came from our own investor. It's a 1 lakh order, right? To do a rainwater harvesting in his own college. So when that was successful, another investor said, do it in my factory. So now he has done, a project worth of, 25-30 lakhs. 3rd-year students who didn't have any idea about entrepreneurship. So that's where the investment element comes, right? We did another investment call in a company called Happy Hands. So this person never been to school, a wheelchair-bound guy, and he's an Ayurveda expert. He was collecting herbals in nearby Madurai area and supplying to Dabur, Himalaya. So he was doing an experiment about taking a country chicken and feeding with Ayurveda herbals, right? And he took the egg and sent it to Indian Institute of Science, looked at the nutrition value of it. He found that it is better than 4 times better than the ordinary broiler egg. So he said, wow, there is something's happening. The yolk of the egg itself is orange color. So then he looked at about what innovation. So in London, there is a standard for free-range poultry. Royal Society of London standard for free range poultry that does not harm the animal, right? So that means you need 1,000 birds. For 1,000 birds, you need 1 acre. It's all freely roam around. There's no caging process. So he applied that and he did that. So look at a person sitting in Madurai and never been to school, the thought process, right? Thinking really big. So we gave him 50 lakhs to bring him into the standards and bring him to the packaging. Now he's an expensive egg in the country. His egg is 4 times expensive than ordinary egg. And he has only one competition in the whole country who produces that kind of egg. So now he's going deeper on this country egg. So he picked up the Tamil Nadu variety called Kaveri. Now he's trying Kerala, Kairali. You know, your Kairali is a black chicken. It's very, very highly medicinal one. So he's growing Kairali now. It's for Kerala. Right? For the Karnataka, he's doing Gramapuri. So we set him on the Eggman of India. Right? Go to every state, pick a local country variety, start. His innovation is that feed that he developed using the herbal. He put it in the picture, in the bag itself, the pack itself, that everybody today, we say that nati chicken is popular now, right? They take an ordinary broiler egg and dip it on tea decoction, it looks brown. It says brown egg. So people, the cheap consumer on brown eggs. He says, you open the egg, my yolk will be orange. So that means it's highly nutrition. So that's to put it on the back. It's a very simple way to differentiate. Like Co-op is trying with a QR code. Put a simple way to differentiate. Now people followed, yeah, it looks orange, yeah. Fantastic, that's the nutrition value. So now he has a tremendous demand. He has 15-acre land and he has around 8,000 birds he has. Now he's starting franchising. He's going to the farmers. He says that you take 200 chicken from me and I'll give you the input, process, system, everything. I'll buy the egg from you. So now he's doing an experiment with 4 farmers, each with 250 chickens, right? So look at, somebody in Madurai, right? If this native leader is not able to support them, he would have been doing it a different way. But with this 50 lakhs investment now, one of the TVS family person wrote a 20 lakh check for him. He said he was really impressed. He's not only strong, he said he gave his CFO, a TVS CFO sitting with his entrepreneur, built the entire business model for him, right? And this entrepreneur, we said, what is your unit economics, right? How much money it takes to make an egg? He has no idea what is unit economics, how do you calculate? So this CFO helped him to put a nice formula that all you have to feed in the data will tell you how much money it takes to make one egg, the unit economics. So this is what that mentoring comes automatically, right? When you put your money, that you are helping to make sure that he is successful. He developed the entire MIS system for the entrepreneur. Here is the CFO of TVS. So this is what the mentoring is, what we're talking about, right? If that is also available, then look at the success solution. So we have done him this third investment we have done called Native Special. This person from a place called Karur. So if you look at every place has a specialty, right? We tried a very nice, mango curry yesterday, fish, right? But like that, snacks as well, right? There is halwa, Hanur halwa, yeah, Kannanur halwa. Like that, you have Tirunelveli halwa, Srivilliputtur Palkova in Tamil Nadu, Thuthukudi macaroon. Like that, every place has a specialty. People grow up with that, have the tendency for that one, right? Anytime you say that, okay, I'm giving you Tirunelveli halwa, nobody will say no to it. So that's the problem people. So the other side, if you look at the younger generation, have no idea of these things. They all end up in Cadbury's and this KFC's. So here is another problem. So that's what he's trying to understand, because some of this cottage industry are dying. So he put something called Native Special, right? He goes to Tirunelveli, he identifies somebody, he buys the Tirunelveli halwa, because that shop guy, he won't ship it to you. He makes every day this much halwa, it's sold. People line up, right? The restaurant be there. People line up for it, get over. See, he sends his own guy and buys and ship it back to Karur. He makes sure that the oil is extracted and all, he packs it and she ships it to anybody who wants Tirunelveli halwa, right? 60% of his revenue coming from US. So he said recently one lady called him at 12 a.m. midnight and she was crying. He said, after 20 years you showed me Tirunelveli halwa, right, from US. So this is the potential, right? So one side, we're able to help this cottage industry that's going to go away, bringing them the new revenue stream. The other side is about playing on this native lane, right? People trying to do. Now, as somebody living in US, exposing their children to a Tirunelveli halwa, right? The next time he said, one customer called, I said, hey, before I reached my house, the order came, my children ate it up. So I need one more. There are people buying regularly $50 order every month, on a recurring basis. So this is what he's done, right? A simple problem of what he's trying to do. So he has now 50 products from Tamil Nadu. Now he's going on different states because every state has the same thing. Now he has a lot of requests from Andhra to people in US. Similarly, like I live in Bangalore, right? This Tirunelveli Alva or Srivilliputturu thing, I introduce my children. So who never exposed to that, they start loving it. So you are able to do. We have an IAS officer in Sikkim. He buys regularly from him. So he lives there for the last 15 years. He exposing the snacks he grew up to his children. Right? So how a simple problem that he is looking at, and we are not even given him a first tranche. His revenue went from, his revenue went up 10 times. Because now people from Chennai is buying from him. He says that Tirunelveli Alva, somebody selling in Chennai, it is not Tirunelveli Alva at all, right? What you're selling, they know the taste. You cannot cheat them, right? People had tasted that, they know exactly. So he's able to do it. Very simple problems, but how he's building a business, right? If he goes across the country, look at how many delicacies out there in every place. Dharwad Theda. I was in Belgaum, last week. They said there's a thing called Kunta, right? It's very popular in Belgaum. I'm sure anybody from Belgaum would love those Kunta available. So like this, every place you have the snacks is making it available. So this is what potential is humongous from the entrepreneurial perspective, right? Coming back to some of the problems that are what I have observed here, we spend a time in agriculture, right? And in what he mentioned that the Kerala was once superb, right? You were growing the spice were treated as a gold, right? Like the tulips, people used to say, then the spice was the gold before the gold was so popular. So you attracted some wrong people, right? You are the culprit for all this problem. But anyway, but that's the beauty of it. Still that potential is there, right? The people attracted by you not long away from this place, Kozhikode. That gold is still with you. It's one of the unspoiled places in the world. I mean, the country is Kerala. So I've traveled across the country. I'm still very happy that you have done a fantastic job on preserving what Kerala is. But here is an opportunity now, right? How do we bring some other elements into that to bring it down? So if you look at Sikkim, the whole state went organic, right? It was made by one IAS officer. He was from Madurai. So I went to Sikkim. I went to the Agri Secretary. I said, you have done an amazing job. I want to understand more about it. He said, you will be really liking it. And meet the guy who did it. So his name is Anbalagan. He's from Madurai. He's an IPS officer, IFS, right? He said, I spent 13 years to make that possible. So now they are branding the ginger of Sikkim as a Himalayan ginger. So their goal was like a Washington apple available in Kozhikode. I want to make Himalayan ginger available worldwide. It's organic. So they are coming up with this bigger thought process about branding, right? How do you bring the goodness about that ginger? Similarly, if you go to Maharashtra, right, the Nagpur orange, today you're not able to differentiate. They've created a brand called Maha Orange. They got a GI tag. You all know champagne, right? So champagne is a place name. Champagne has a GI tag. You cannot make a drink made in Kozhikode and call it as champagne. It has to come from Champagne. The cheddar cheese has to come from a place called Cheddar in Italy. So that's what the Europeans have done very well. They put the place names with the products. So then you have a GI tag because the taste cannot be changed, right? So this is what these guys are doing now. The Nagpur orange taste is different. So they have a GI tag now. Right? They're marketing as a Maha orange across the world. Sikkim is doing as Himalayan ginger, right? I was in Kannur. I was very impressed to see this furniture. They're all grouping together and selling those furniture in one brand called Orange Pillar. So then they are building the tradition to it. There's hundreds of years furniture manufacturing in Kannur. So you will have the uniqueness of Kannur furniture. It's sold as one brand of Orange Pillar. So like this, there are tremendous opportunities about what you have. Your rubber, you have, the spices, the pepper, whatever that we have. Can we look into that? Because in agriculture, there are three elements, right? Produce, process, and market. So what is happening today? The agriculture, the farmers staying in the one part, which is a produce part. So what that brings it is that in a food chain, right? So in a typical food chain, if you see that a deer is eating a grass, the lion would eat a deer, right? This is your typical food chain. Who's in the top of the food chain? The lion, it will dictate all the time. So in any industry, there is a food chain. So it depends on where you are in the food chain, you will be successful, or you will depend on somebody, right? If you look at somebody makes a tire for automobile, that automobile industry will dictate the price, right? If I'm making a valve for some manufacturer, he will tell me what the price is, but he owns the customer, right? He decides the price and then he tells you what price he wants. Then you work on it. So that's a problem in agriculture, is that most of the farmer is in the bottom of the food chain. So there is a middleman who buys his product, then there is something made out of it, then it gets sold. So I was telling the NIT students yesterday, right? The tomato sauce price never will go down, but the tomato price will go down. It's pathetic. Right now in Bangalore, tomato price is 1 rupee a kg. So 1 rupee. What you do with 1 rupee in anything in India right now? Because there is some middleman is playing on the price. But if this process, if people who produce are able to move up in the value chain, then you will be able to have a better market, right? So this is where all these people are trying. Like Sikkim is going on, the ginger, I will own the market. So the Himalayan ginger will have different. So there is a group in Arakku Valley, right? If you, from Vizag, there's a 3 hours of drive. This is complete, if you do the 3-hour drive, it's the shaved mountains, right? Nothing is there. That's what I'm very happy to see the greenery, because you have to be really proud to be seeing that you are preserving it. But many part of the country, it's all shaved off. People, deforestation is pretty bad. The 3 hours of drive, you see the complete deforestation. But here and there, you'll see some green patches, right? I was surprised. I was asking the guy, what is this? 50 years back, one agri officer introduced coffee in the region. So the tribals were taught to grow coffee, so somebody is growing that, right? 8 years back, one organization said, how can I help this tribals go to the next level, right? So they started this Arakku Valley coffee, and they created a farmer producer company. That means there are 20,000 tribals who own this company. Then they brought a professional CEO who ran a bank in New York, right? They looked at every aspect of the coffee. Now when I went to see that there are 3 ladies from France sitting there, I said, what are the French people are doing here? They're looking at every coffee plant and comparing with how do they maintain the vineyards in France, right? They brought technology about which we know earlier, so it's called biodynamic farming, which involves the moon movement, right? Like that, from planting the plant itself, what direction it should be, it's been maintained, right? Then every aspect, the quality of the coffee is maintained. This coffee is one of the best in the world, 100% export. It doesn't even come to the commodity market. The moment it is ready, it's all shipped to the overseas market. So this is done. 200 ton of this happening. They have this huge processing plant on the hills itself, which employs 7,000 people. Who are the 7,000 people? Same farmer who's growing coffee. So he's involved in production, he's involved in the process. Then there is a professional CEO who has come there to helping on the market, right? If the company does well, they all get dividend. So now he's able to own the entire supply chain. So a place which is nothing there, right? The tribals were, that's what happened, right? When this, your livelihood is lost, then you become Naxalite. You take guns because there's no livelihood. But if you're able to bring this livelihood back, you'll see this happy people, right? People are very happy because if somebody is doing a really good job, they say that they can make $1 lakh a year, which is really fantastic, right? In that tribal belt. So like this, there are tremendous examples available about the intervention happening in the agriculture. Right? In Madurai, there's a place, there is a 2,000 ton of mango used to get shipped. So this farmer produce company, this NGO came in and said, why are we shipping the mango? Why don't we ship pulp? So all the farmers put some money, they took up a warehouse, they created pulp. Immediately 200% rise in the revenue because they're shipping the pulp. So can you do a value add, right? So, there is another example of what technology could play a role. We have a supported project in Chindwara in Madhya Pradesh, right? So like your Milma, right? This the milk cooperative. So there is a Sanchi. So the farmers have a small society, they all gather the milk and supply to Sanchi. The Sanchi has a chart, right? Based on your protein content and fat content, the milk value is different. But the guy who procures, he has no idea, right? He take the milk, check for only the water content, and he decide the price and give him that much money. So they said, no, there has to be something else done. They brought a startup. The startup built a simple sensor, right? You put the milk, you put a sensor, it displays 7 parameters. So they told this company that we cannot maintain computers and all that. It has to be very rugged, very foolproof. So they developed the entire system like simple system, right? No computer, nothing. Everything is inbuilt. So all the farmer has to do is put the milk and it will be displayed. They said the display has to be in 30 seconds, right? If it is longer, the farmer won't trust. He will say that you're doing some kadma. So 30-second display 7 parameters. They took the Sanchi chart, embedded into the system. So after you put the milk 30 seconds, the farmer presses a button, a printout comes, it tells you value of your milk. He takes that to the Sanchi and he says, this is my milk's value. So a farmer doing nothing, right? His profit went up 300% because now he knows what his value of the milk is. That's very simple innovation, right? This is what entrepreneur can do. So now this machine is so popular, right? 40 societies in that region bought the machine. So this is where how you're looking at a local problem, how to improve it, right? Now the farmer knows which content, if protein is and fat is more, my milk is more. So I should feed the cow, he knows. So he grows those things as a fodder to feed the cow so that his profit is able to increase. So these are all some of these innovations, some of the ways entrepreneurs could look at, right? Don't look for problems elsewhere. This place has tremendous number of problems. These are all the examples of how people locally looked at the problem, how to bring this, the problems with the people who could provide solutions, which is improving the livelihood of everybody in that region, right? So this is where that part. So third category of startup, right? So what I call is about, so some more on native lead. So what we have done as native lead is we started to look at 18 district below. We started Madurai chapter, right? And we started looking at the more community driven model, right? Where we said it'll be each chapter will be driven by the people there. Even if I don't go to Madurai next 1 year, it'll be fine. Because in Madurai we have a group of people, right? The chapter is managed by this council. This Coimbatore we have a council. So they decide what we need to be done, activities, college interventions, mentoring, find the local mentor to talk about. Because as people said, even 50 kilometers from here, or 1 hour from here, Kannur, the culture is different. People say it will work in Madurai, not in Tiruchi, just 90 kilometers. So even a small city dynamics is different. So we see that in each city the chapters are forming. Now we have 3 chapters like Madurai and then Erode and Coimbatore. Then there are people like, if we have 50 investors in a city, we'll start a chapter, right? So we launched recently in Tuticorin, right? Tuticorin. So the Tuticorin has like 12 people, so they are aligned with the Madurai chapter. They work with the Madurai chapter. Salem have 10 investors, so they align with the Erode chapter. So like this, now I'm really happy there are 155 investors. These are all HNIs from every local area. If you go to Coimbatore, your LG pumps, CRI pumps, the PSG group, you go to Madurai, the TVS family, go to Erode, there's URC, they are the builders of big tidal parks in Chennai. So everywhere, there is a lot of interest in local ecosystem to help itself. But beyond that, what I'm really surprised is people have a link back to your thing, the point you mentioned earlier about the NRIs, right? So those are very, very active, right? So we have people from US, from Madurai, they are mentoring. They spend time at midnight talking to entrepreneurs. So, that's very, very impressive. They're all very eager to support. So I'd be really, glad this GMA did happen. It has a tremendous potential to revamp, as Roshan was telling, it could be a Waterloo, it could be a Silicon Valley, it could be a native lead. This, because the local ecosystem, the support system is very, very important to build that kind of a culture. It is possible. That's the reason that we are all here, right? The third category of startups is what I call is about disruptive innovation. Yeah? Means that something so disruptive in technology or services that it impacted a lot of people in the world. We have 0, right? Because we are very busy in copying this and that, right? Find out what is working very fine, there's 10 guys who do the same thing. There are 85 e-commerce companies in India right now. You see that many are shutting down or clubbing it together because there's no market for all of that. Yeah. So that's where we are very busy and copy quickly what else we are working, but we're not spending. If you go to the engineering students or any technology students, going deeper in my profession, right? Spending 10 years, 15 years, coming up with the technology that would revolutionize the world. Forget about technology, even a service, like look at this microfinance, right? This made billion people in poverty, but banks said they're not bankable, but there's one simple professor in Bangladesh created this model of microfinance. It put billions of people in bankable mode, right? So that created a revolution worldwide. He got a Nobel Prize right now, right? So you look at this microfinance, which was started earlier, now the government recognized, right? It become an NBFC. Today, many of the bigger banks have been asked to go to rural area, but they were not going. What RBI did, took up all the microfinances in the rural area, made them banks. Right? Look at the revolution, right? Where one day a person was so poor, people said he's not bankable. Today, there's a bank is going after them, thanks to this one person from Bangladesh. So like this, we are not seeing anything from India that either disrupting a service or like this or a product, right? Because if you look at many of the engineers, they're wasting time about, if you're studying metallurgy, right? In US, people studying metallurgy is creating next Gorilla Glass that's used in a phone. But our engineers are writing an algorithm to find the cheapest Gorilla Glass phone on Flipkart, right? So we are not applying what are we learning, right? So that's when you will develop the tendency to improve in technology. So that's why the disruptive innovation side we have zero, because people are not putting their time and effort, stay there for 5 years and make a killing, come up with innovation. Thanks to this current government forming that they want everything on the limelight, right? People want some quick success, go on the newspaper and put some slogans, right? But nobody is keen on going deeper and spend 5 years, 10 years. Doesn't matter what limelight I'm going to get, but I'm going to solve this problem. So we need Edisons. We do not have in the country today. So that's what also possible, right? People are studying, which has a potential, right? If you look at what are we wearing, the structures that we have. So we were talking about the structure. Today, every architect in India, he just copy paste from the US. We are all building concrete structures, right? We are all building structures which doesn't let the light in, right? At least you have a transparent one. If you go to many places, you put the glass windows and you cover with the blinds, right? And then you tinted the glass windows with 3M film. Then nothing comes, you put a tube light on. So this model is good for US because extreme weather. You don't have sun at all. You don't see a sun for many times, but you have sun coming up throughout the year, right? But we are not developing architecture, buildings that suits our climate, right? Look at the inefficiency. The entire Bangalore, all this glass building. California is now banning glass building, but we are going Hango on glass. Glass is good for visibility, but it brings the heat in, right? So what you do then, you cover it up. So what is the use of glass? You would have put a wall, right? So so civil, what is going? As I mentioned about traffic, the mobility. So what's the future of it, right? If you look at every element, energy, every source of energy known to mankind, it's not good enough to feed the 7 billion people who want energy now. So there has to be a complete disruption in somebody finding out a completely different energy source. These all could be disruptive, in areas, innovation could happen. But for that, we have to start looking at this problem, going deeper. So this is where, because we solve a problem, billion people, there's 4 billion with the same problems. In the world, only 2 billion people in the developed countries, right? Everybody is in the same boat as us. So that's what the beauty is for us, to go jump, finding out solution, finding out amazing solutions, whether technology or not technology, but in making an impact, you would create a triple bottom line companies. Yeah. So that I'll stop if you have any questions. How are we doing time-wise? Okay.
Any questions?
So I've not focused much on that side, but if you look at, I have around 20 investments, right? 4 is dead, gone, right? But if you look at our network, Indian Angel Network, we've been around 12 years now. We have done around 100 investments. So this average return is about 33% IRR. And so if you had put money in all the companies, all the 100 companies, you would have got 33%. So we have seen cases that are about 10x, 100x, but here shutting down, right? So there's 4 cases that got shut down. If you look at are not doing well, there's one case, 2 cases all about people problems, right? There's one case, there is this co-founders, one person technology person, one is salesperson. So they fought, the tech person quit. So there is no way for the sales guy to figure out what to do next. This company is gone, right? In the other case, this entrepreneur came to us and said, I'm quitting. If I continue, my wife is going to divorce me, right? Because entrepreneur is like 24 hours, right? 24/7. What do we do? So he left. So we took his share and gave it to the number 1 employee. But he is an employee, right? There's no passion. It's dead, right? So this is what I'm seeing, more and more people issues creating the thing. The next set is about the digital consumer side. So you might have seen Stazilla story. Yeah. So those kind of things. He was doing really fantastic, but the digital consumer thing took off. There's too much competition. It was cannibalizing the market. So people in those sectors are struggling. But overall, for an angel investor, we always say, even if you talk to a wealth advisor, they will tell you, put smaller and stay long. That's the same thing, right? Invest in at least large number of companies, but have a long-term vision with that, and you will do very fine. So in my portfolio, even with all the shutdowns and some are, right, we invested company with the $10 million valuation, now it's a $250 million valuation, right? It's 25x. There's some other company around 60, 70x. So all of that put together, my portfolio at 4 times. But angel investment is a high risk one, because it takes time for him to do that. So have the patience, but it is possible. That's where the fun is, right? So there are easy return area maybe there, people put in gold and real estate. But we'll say that, for people who have disposable income, create another area where it's a high risk, market is high risk. And if you work on it, stay long term and put in many companies, there is potential that. Yeah, so if we look at Indian Angel Network, we do the investment from 50 lakhs to 10 crores into one company, right? But minimum an investor, if somebody joins the IAN, so there is 85,000 rupee fees for a year, right? And then he has to invest 25 lakhs in 2 years. And when you pick a minimum 5 lakhs in one company, you pick 5 companies, put 5 lakhs each, or you pick one company and put all 25, right? So this will bring in only the people who are serious, right? But Native Angels Network, when we launched, I wanted to start the IAN Madurai chapter, right? But we realized this example of rainstorm. The people even want 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs to go tell your mom that I'm going to start a company, right? Otherwise, they're going to be forced to take up a job. Or his father will say that, no, I have a loan to pay, my son has to get a job to pay the loan. So we looked at the entire structure of IAN, so we replicated, but in a smaller form. So the angel, there are 150, Indian Angel Network, we have around 450 angels all over the country, right? But if you're native angels, we have around 150 angels. So where we have done, what the fees is very less. We put 30,000 as a fees, and you would invest as low as a lakh in a company. The SEBI allows even 20,000 bucks into a company. So you can even do that, but to make the logistics easier, we do. But we do up to 50 lakhs into this. So we've done around 3 investments, so 250 lakhs, 110 lakhs in the native angel side. So this is to expose, because the people in the region, they're not exposed to this model of investing, right? So the native angel helps them to get exposed in a very small amount to see how it is working and all that. Once people have seen this, that okay, they're happy, that some of them came and said, I can do a bigger investment. And we said, okay, join any of the networks available. So like a person from TVS Group joined Indian Angel Network, right? She has done 8 investments there. So it's up to that person's capability. You can look at that appetite. And some people say, no, I want to stay here, understand how this works next few years. So I put aside 2 crores, I'll invest in around 10 companies and see how it goes. Then I will expose myself more. So different angels have different strategy, but we always say it's high risk. Right?
Well, that means, what is the stake that the angel investor would take in company? Because the message is, they look for a larger stake and that's a fear.
That's a very good point. So that's the problem I saw in Madurai, right? Where in native lead is that the tendency here is that when you invest, you'll say that it's my money and I want to take 51% and control the company, right? That's a tendency. So we say that, this is an equity investment, right? It's not a debt or anything else. It's an equity investment, means that there's no collateral. You cannot go after him. So we are believing in that person, his ability to execute the idea, right? That means without him, the company is nothing. So what you do with 51% of the company if this guy is not happy to execute his idea? So that's why we convinced them. So in we have policy not to take more than 30% of the company, right? Whatever may be the investment, what we are doing, it's a range from like 10% to 30%, depends on the risk level and all the things. But we put a slab on 30%, so that this entrepreneur feels that it's his company. The second is there is a room for next round of funding. When next round of funding happens, he will tend to dilute. Right? We are the one investor coming first, so you don't want to take too much of it. So similarly in Madurai, we're doing up to 50 lakhs. We said don't take more than 20%. So that's the slab that we put. So that's a big. It took me a lot of time in actively to convince the investors the 20% because they are 20%, 2 crore valuation for this company, nothing is there. How can you do that? This is ridiculous, right? But we say, hey, this is that entrepreneur idea, but we are there to help him. But look at the long term, right? If he's successful, even the 20% is huge. So that's how. The jury said the winner itself, we said we give an opportunity to pitch to our investors. So if they were in the jury, they loved it, they said we should support. So then one of us took a lead, which we call the lead investor. So that means he will spend a little more time with the entrepreneur to see that very in a high level, is he a good entrepreneur, he will take our money and run away, or is he an honest person or not. And then his passion level, the product or the services that you're doing, does it have a scalable element in it or not, right? We'll just quickly check that. So once we check that, we have a slab, work with them, find out how much money need, right? Sometimes when they come, they may be asking for say 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs. But, when we sit across with them, we say 10 lakhs is very low, you should take 50 lakhs. Or we'll say if you ask for 50 lakhs, we'll say you may need only 10 lakhs, right? So all that discussion will happen with the lead investor, probably 1 or 2 other investors will sit with them. Then the secretariat takes care of the paperwork, issue a term sheet, then we will, so this lead, suppose in 50 lakhs, the 20% can be invested by the lead investors because they're spending more time. Then when they've committed that much, then the 80% we open up to all the other 150 angels. So we bring the entrepreneur and the lead investor, they talk to this 150 angels via phone, or if they can meet personally, that's fine as well. They convince, the lead investor will convince, hey, I like this guy, I spent time with him, I'm happy, I'm putting my own money into this company, anybody want to invest in it? Then they subscribe through emails and all that. So when we reach that level of 50 lakhs, we'll stop it. But we see a lot, even in some in Bangalore, in IM, I do mentoring session, right? You'll see an entrepreneur walk in, you lock the door. I said, I'm working on a very super idea, right? He'll tell the idea and I'll say there are 5 guys doing the same thing, right? That's what I said, the disruptive innovation, we have 0 in the country, right? All the ideas are all this business model innovation ideas, which is nothing, right? So ideas are nothing, right? Ideas are dime a dozen. You sit in a search engine, you'll get a lot of guys, what they're doing, they just copy paste. So I tell them that ideas are nothing, it's all about the execution. Now how well you are able to execute the idea is very, very important. So we encourage them to talk the ideas more, right? Somebody, if you look at, then Samsung copied from Apple, right? Apple sued Samsung. They could not win. So what do? Right? A highly patent protected country like US, Samsung blindly, there used to be the manufacturer, right? They just blindly copy. And as a consumer, we don't care now. We buy Samsung because it's cheaper. But the original idea is Apple's idea, right? So this is what happens. So we cannot protect, right? Many entrepreneurs who will say, come and have this bright idea, and how can I protect? I said, which phone you're using? Samsung. You have the answer. Yeah? So this is where that ideas are nothing. So you have to be able to execute very fast, very well. And that's where you will protect. So this happens, right? What happens is we have seen in natively few cases, two things. One is the taking a bigger chunk in the company happened. The other part is about they get excited. I said, I will be a co-founder. So your idea, I'll give you money and I'll take 51%, we are co-founders. So we go then the secretariat and us will go and tell them that co-founder means that you are spending time, right? So co-founder means you're going with them, the sales calls and everything he has to do. And you have to quit what you're doing 100%. And you have to work on this only 100%. Because all the other investors are also putting money, right? So when we explain to them, they're very, very good. It's just an exposure part of it, right? When we explained to them, they said, oh yeah, I know, I understand now, I'm not fine. You guys do whatever you want, I also join. So that happens. But it took time. So that is where I told them we are trust deficit community, right? So we have to put process and system. That's what we are very good, the Indian angel and process, very, very open. Equal opportunity to everything. There's no side thing happen. Everything is on the system. Every opportunity is equal. Everybody make a decision. It's all communicated to everyone. So once you put the process and system in place, some of these things won't come in. It did came in Madurai earlier, but it's all stopped down because now people know what that means. It's a commitment. It is an effort, but it is more on the entrepreneur side rather than me being there guaranteeing success. It's not. So that is where we see from the lot of family businesses side, right, where you'll run like 4 or 5 businesses. So you found something, you have an idea, you get an employee, you put some money, and then you monitor, you make it successful. So we tell them that what we're trying to do is not that. So you go deeper. That's why the thought process is big. You just do you be a one-trick pony, but you're the world's best pony on that track. So that's what we that require 100% focus, right? Which is another challenge that we have to tell. But when you see examples, right? If you look at companies just focus on one problem and solve the problem very well, and they're the world's best. So when you show that example that this is how larger companies get built, and they're very open. So it takes time, but we can show through our process and systems and communicating, bringing people to tell them constant communication that did solve big time of this venture, that we could be able to do it. The valuation, that's what we made it simple, that 20%, whatever we do, below 20%. But if this company is little ahead, right, so it's not an idea stage, he has some revenue, then we can give him a better valuation. So that we could talk around. And so in natively, I get involved in all the deals that I was, giving that input. But now I have like 4 or 5 active angels in Coimbatore and Madurai. They can do deals themselves. Right? So I also invite them to our IN meeting in Madurai, Bangalore. So I'll tell them, come and see what's happening. Right? Now that I'll be open to all of you as well, right? If you're interested to understand this model, how is it working, would be happy to, tell you. Next meeting is 17th in Bangalore. I'll be happy to invite you as my guest. You can come and see what is working. There are a lot of them travel. They've seen it, what is happening. Okay, then they'll get an idea. Right? So we're all entrepreneurs. Few meetings, you'll figure it out what you do. Then the due diligence, all that we'll give it to the CA and lawyers. So who would do the technical due diligence of he's proper, he registered the company, all the statutory things are there. The technology case, or he's stealing from someone else. All the statutory stuff, every paperwork. We have an auditor, lawyer, and all those. Professionally, they come and do that part. Then the paperwork of term sheet, shareholder agreement. Once the money is there, filing with ROC. All this technical element, the lawyers and CAs will take care of. We'll just look at the business side. Yeah.
So, most of the companies we were in are not IT based. So, most of the our experience is into IP based technology, IT based only. So we don't know how to personally, I don't know how to support these kind of non-IT or non-IP based companies. So how did you house these guys? Anybody can do that.
Yeah, so IP we have done, right? The Uniforus has 6 patents with IIT Chennai, right? So that's also possible. But the thing, as I said, business is a business, whether it is technology or not, right? As I said, there is a pain. You have a solution. Can you match? That's a business. That's business element you can find in anything. If you look at Sagas, waste management, right? What is the business? 5,000 tons of waste every day in Bangalore, right? Government spends 600 crores garbage problem. There is some issue. One is fight with the government, which we don't want to do, or find a solution, right? And she found a solution, and she's able to implement. So people are willing to pay her, right? Where our mentality is about, I have waste, you pay me, right? That's what our mentality is typically, right? A guy comes to my, so will this newspaper, we are very good in figuring, oh, who's giving me 1 rupee more, right? So she changed the mentality that waste is the waste, and you created the best, you have to pay to manage the waste. So she changed that, and people are willing to do it, right? So that means there is this pain point. What is the pain point? Bigger organization, this is a big PR issue. In Bangalore, there's all the Bangalore waste dumped in a village called Mandur. 120,000 ton of waste, Bangalore waste in that village. It spoiled the entire neighborhood, right? Farmers are committing suicide. So every business in Bangalore have a guilty that I am also contributing. So that's what she's touching. So that as a person in Bangalore you would know, right? That she's touching the nerve on every business is saying that you're not contributing to Mandur. It's your PR. So when Zero Waste Campus happened in IIM, they did a press release that IIM is the first Zero Waste Campus in Bangalore. So when Swachh
On behalf of Greater Malabar Initiative, on behalf of the Entrepreneurship Subcommittee, and on behalf of people of Kozhikode and Malabar, a big thank you to Mr. Nagaraja Prakasham for joining us, spending your valuable time with us. I request Mr. Vineet Abraham to come.